Hello friends, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the Holly Lolly channel, and today we're going to talk to you about Japanese toilets. Japanese toilets are of course known to many people as washlets, and they have many features. The first is the bidet function. Many Japanese toilets are equipped with a built-in bidet, and it allows you to make a more thorough hygiene, because you can adjust the angle of water supply and also the strength of the jet. You can make the pressure stronger or weaker. Most models have a heated seat, which is especially important in the cold season, when there is no heating in Japan. The next feature is the automatic opening and closing of the lid. Here, many toilets are equipped with a sensor. When you walk in, the lid opens and then it also closes automatically, which also ensures the highest level of hygiene. The next feature is the drying function. After you have used the bidet function, you can use the drying function and the air is supplied by a warm stream, which avoids the use of toilet paper. The next feature is the no-touch flush, which means that the triple sensors can be activated automatically if you swipe your hand and the toilet will automatically flush, again avoiding those extra touches. Also, some toilets have a deodorizing feature to make the air in the restroom clean, fresh, fragrant. And the next feature I wanted to talk about is something that almost all toilets have, a built-in sound function. For example, you decide to use the restroom in a public place, and to avoid any extraneous sounds, you turn on birdsong, water sounds. You can also adjust the volume you want to drown out other sounds. Some toilets allow you to save personalized settings for each user, which makes using the toilet even more comfortable. And also modern toilets are set to energy-saving mode to use less electricity. It is also very common to install a sink with a faucet above the cistern. You can wash your hands, rinse, and the same water will go to the cistern for further use. Not all, but there are some Japanese toilets that have a remote control function. For example, there is a remote control or even an app on your smartphone. In the app, you can customize the temperature of the water you want to use when you use the bidet, the temperature of the heated seat, and many other settings. Also, some toilets have built-in backlighting, which is especially relevant at night. That is, if you decide to use the toilet at night, it is slightly illuminated. You can also choose the color you want the toilet to be illuminated in. I think it's very pleasant to use and aesthetically pleasing. There are also brand new models on the market that have built-in sensors that can analyze your health. For example, they can measure your urine sugar level and other vital signs and transmit all this information to your smartphone or even directly to your doctor. Some advanced models have a massage function. You can adjust the strength of the water and the frequency with which the water is delivered. Many elements of Japanese toilets, including the seat and lid, are made with antibacterial materials, which, of course, prevents the spread of bacteria and germs. We have talked about Japanese home toilets. I believe that Japanese toilets should be all over the world because they are so comfortable. You get very used to it. Foreign toilets seem very cold after Japanese toilets. You get used to these benefits, and when you go outside Japan, you feel uncomfortable as much as possible. And when our relatives came to visit us, they also said that they should take with them from Japan just these lids, because they are as comfortable as possible. So, we have talked about home toilets, but let's also talk about public places. Because when you come to Japan for the first time, what surprises you and immediately catches your eye is the perfect cleanliness of Japanese toilets and the fact that they are on every corner. These are basic human needs, and here in Japan, you don't have to look for a toilet all the time. Here you find on the map, you walk maybe 50 to 100 meters, and you find the nearest toilet. Very often in the company there are, every subway station, coffee shops, every park has a toilet. Wherever you want to go, you go in, and absolutely everywhere there will be perfect cleanliness, perfect sanitary conditions, there will always be toilet paper. Somewhere there will be 2, sometimes even 3 rolls, and there will be some spare rolls on top, because the Japanese are very much afraid of negative reviews, that someone will write that there was no toilet paper in some place. As soon as you arrive and see the flow of people every second, you will be shocked how the toilets remain so clean. You always have to start with yourself, from the way you use the restroom. You also need to think about the people who will come in after you. Then the toilets will be perfectly clean. You know, Japan is probably the only place, unfortunately, where you can sit on the toilet in a public place and not be afraid of catching anything. Because almost everywhere there are sanitizers, so you can sanitize the lid. What is especially pleasing is that the Japanese took care of all categories of people. If you come with a small child, there is always a room for mother and child, where you can change diapers, there is a changing table, and in general there is even a place to feed the baby, change, and everything is again in perfect cleanliness. There are separate booths for people with disabilities, where there is a special railing so that a person can hold on. And in case he needs some urgent emergency help, there is a button. If you press it, a staff member will come to help that person very quickly. These rooms have urinals, sinks to wash your hands. Even if you need to wash yourself, take a little shower, you can do all that too. Public restrooms in Japan, they're also multifunctional. That is so, those functions that she called, that are in ordinary household toilets, they are almost all in public toilets as well. It's a heated seat, bidet function. Here is very often the lid opens, closes automatically. Also, which is nice, almost every stall in the women's restroom has a separate seat where you can put if you are with a small child. And there are hooks, because very often you use a restroom somewhere in other countries and there's no hook. You think, where to? Where do I put this stuff? Do I have to keep everything on me? There are even separate hooks for umbrellas, or if a person with a stick, there is also a special hole where you can hang this stick, so that it is also convenient, and he does not think where to put it. Here I am telling about all the conveniences, it is as cool as possible, but here there is no place for any expression of freedom. If you just talk on the phone with someone on the street, the people around you will not be happy, because here you need to observe the silence mode. There is no such prohibition that you should not talk on the street, in public places, but maybe I make people uncomfortable. I just sit quietly, not shouting, in a corner to record a video, but I see that I probably make people uncomfortable. Let's continue about the restrooms. Since I am, of course, visiting the women's restroom, I will also tell you that in almost every restroom there is such a separate area where a girl can tidy up. There are mirrors, they are often heated so that they do not mist up, and a micro table where you can put your purse and cosmetic bag. I often see Japanese women there tinting their eyebrows and eyelashes, combing their hair. It is very convenient that they have even taken care of this. In Tokyo, there are public restrooms with transparent walls designed by architect Shigeruben. What is the purpose of this? To show a high level of trust and a high level of cleanliness. When the toilet is not in use, the walls are completely transparent, but when you go in and close the door, the walls are immediately opaque. You know, I want to dispel this myth a little bit, because so far I have not met such a toilet. In TikTok, they often film and show that there are a lot of these toilets with transparent walls and they are everywhere. I read that they have them in Shibuya, but I never found the place. Of course, bloggers find some interesting places to show, but that doesn't mean that what they show is everywhere. In my 2 years of living in Japan, I've never seen this toilet with transparent walls. I know where it is, but there's no way I can get there. So they are there, but not everywhere. In big cities you can meet toilets with electronic boards that show the current occupancy of stalls and it helps to avoid additional queues. But, to be honest, I haven't met any of them so far. Again, I've read about it, but it's probably necessary to specifically go to make sure and also to show you. Of course, not at every station, but at some stations I met exactly children's toilets. Everything is made for little visitors. There is also a division into men's and women's, but everything there is so tiny, miniature in size. My kids were impressed too. They said that they usually visit the adult restroom and everything is big there, but here everything is small, so toy-like, as if for dolls. Also in adult toilets there is always a small sink for those visitors who came with children, so that the child was comfortable. And by the way, what is missing in Japanese toilets is paper towels or at least a hand dryer. Hand dryers have been appearing recently, because Japanese people usually use a small pocket towel. They carry it with them in their purse and when they wash their hands, they all pull towels out of the bag, wipe them off and hide them again. They said it was related to COVID, paper towels or just hand dryers are there, but they're taped up, but you can't use them. And then just now these dryers started showing up somewhere that you can still use. You know, the Japanese are so fond of using instructions for everything. Wherever you go, all the staff will follow the instructions. And also in the restrooms too, there are instructions on how to use the restroom properly. Of course, I realized that seeing the buttons on a Japanese toilet, you go into shock. When I came as a tourist to Japan, I saw tons of buttons, and I didn't see the proper buttons for flushing. I was scared to press all those buttons. I thought I was going to press one and the bidet would go off in my face. But no, for the bidet function to work, you have to sit down for the sensors to react. So don't be afraid, if you press the wrong button nothing will happen. Toilets are all different, so sometimes you look for this panel near the seat, sometimes the button is hidden near the cistern, sometimes there is a separate panel on the wall, so you look for it every time. But, by the way, Japanese toilets always have instructions on how to use the toilet, and everything is described in detail. True, in Japanese, so if you are not lazy, you can bother and translate through a translator. There are, for example, in public parks toilets, which are like a hole in the floor, to make it easier to use too. So, once again, I will repeat for the 100th time that everything is as clean and comfortable as possible. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please support me by liking and subscribing to the channel. And thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you in new videos. Bye bye!